He was a billionaire widower living in a mansion that felt more like a shrine to grief than a home. She was a struggling school teacher answering a job offer that was never meant for her. One wrong message, and everything changed. When Ethan Walker lost his wife, he shut the world out, except for his daughter Lily, who was slowly slipping into silence. Desperate to help her, he sent a single text asking for a professional nanny trained in childhood trauma. But the woman who showed up wasn't a nanny. She wasn't even from the agency. And yet, Lily smiled for the first time in months. What was it about this stranger that calmed a grieving child with just a touch? Why did Ethan feel like he'd met her long before this accidental encounter? And when secrets buried deep within an old diary rise to the surface, exposing betrayal legacy and a love that may have been written long before anyone realized, will Ethan be strong enough to face the truth? Or will he lose everything all over again? Stay with us. Because this story, it begins with a mistake and ends with a decision that could change not just one life, but an entire legacy. After losing his beloved wife Rachel to cancer just 6 months earlier, Ethan Walker, the founder of one of California's most prestigious real estate empires, was barely holding it together. Behind the walls of his sleek Beverly Hills mansion, silence echoed like grief in disguise. The coffee stayed untouched. The tailored suits no longer felt like armor, and the little girl who once danced through the hallways, Lily, had turned quiet. Too quiet. "Daddy, when will you smile again?" Her voice was soft, fragile. Just 8 years old, Lily sat on her bed gripping the hem of her white dress like it might unravel her pain. Ethan tried to force a smile. "I'm smiling now, sweetheart." "No, you're not," she replied without looking at him, and she was right. Mornings had become minefields of memory. The empty side of the closet, the ghost of her mother's perfume on the sheets, and always that deafening silence over breakfast. Ethan kissed Lily's forehead and left for work, barely glancing at Susan Blake, his late wife's mother, who stood at the door with her usual disapproval locked into her perfectly arched brow. "You're late again," she snapped. "Lily needs stability, not a father who's always running away." "I have a presentation," Ethan said coldly, adjusting his tie. "Evermere Green depends on it. Rachel would have handled all of this better. Maybe she would have, but Rachel was gone, and Ethan was left clinging to a daughter whose eyes no longer lit up, and a house that felt more like a museum to grief than a home. That night, after a long day of investor meetings and strained handshakes, Ethan came home to find Lily asleep, clutching a photo of her mother. The part-time nanny had left early again. He stood in the doorway, shattered. He picked up his phone and texted a highly exclusive agency for full-time childcare. "Needs someone calm, qualified with trauma experience. Urgently," but the message didn't go to the agency. It went to Claire Mitchell, a 34-year-old school teacher from East Pasadena. Claire was sipping cheap tea in her tiny apartment, trying to stretch her paycheck through the end of the month. She had just posted a tutoring ad online when Ethan's message landed in her inbox. She read the offer twice, blinking. Was this real? The salary was triple her monthly earnings. Flexible hours, possible accommodation. Her mom, Linda, raised an eyebrow when she saw it. Sounds rich, could be a scam or a stalker, but something in Claire whispered. Go 3 hours later, she stood before a 3-story mansion in Beverly Hills, her modest dress suddenly feeling out of place. The garden was flawless, the silence unnerving. A housekeeper led her inside. The living room looked like it had been curated for a magazine spread, elegant, cold, untouched. Minutes later, a tall man in a dark suit entered, tension radiating from his shoulders. "You must be Claire Mitchell," he said. "Ethan Walker." His handshake was firm but tired. "Thanks for coming on short notice. I assume the agency briefed you." Claire blinked. "Agency? I got your text through my tutoring ad." Ethan frowned, realization dawning. "There's been a mistake. I was looking for a nanny, not a tutor." "Oh," Claire said, flushed. "I teach 3rd grade. I offer after-school sessions. Sorry, I should go." Before she could reach the door, a small voice called out, "Is the new nanny here?" They both turned. Lily stood at the threshold, blonde ponytail in place, school uniform spotless, but her eyes were hollow. She's a teacher, not a nanny, Ethan said gently. Lily studied Claire, then asked, "Can you do braids?" "Grandma never gets them right." Claire knelt to Lily's level and smiled. "French braids with ribbons. My specialty." For the first time, something flickered in Lily's expression. A spark. A maybe, but then came the storm. "Lily, you should be getting ready for school." Susan's icy voice rang out as she entered, scrutinizing Claire like an uninvited guest at a funeral. "I was just leaving," Claire said politely, reaching for her bag. That's when Lily froze. Her breath hitched, her small body trembled. "She's having a panic attack," Claire shouted, rushing to the child. Without hesitation, she knelt, took Lily's hands and whispered, "Look at me. Breathe with me. In 1, 2. Susan panicked. Ethan stood frozen, but Claire stayed steady. Lily's breathing slowed. Her grip tightened, and finally she whispered, "Don't go." Ethan looked at Claire, really looked, and saw something in her that no amount of money could buy: instinct, empathy, courage. "Miss Mitchell," he said slowly, "this may not be the job you applied for. But would you stay? Just long enough to hear my full proposal? Would she accept? What would Susan do next? And is it possible that a complete stranger was exactly what this fractured family needed? We're so sorry to pause the story here, but it's only just beginning. Tell us, what do you think Ethan should do next? Do you believe in fate? Or was this all just coincidence? And one more thing, what country are you watching from? If you're enjoying this emotional ride, don't forget to drop a heart and like this video to support our work. Claire Mitchell hadn't expected to stay the night. She certainly hadn't expected to move in. But within days, she was unpacking her modest suitcase in the guest house behind Ethan Walker's mansion, a space larger and quieter than her entire apartment. Back in East Pasadena, high ceilings, polished wood floors, velvet curtains, it all whispered money, but none of it felt like home. She was here for Lily. That's what she reminded herself. And yet, there was something about the silence of the house, about the way Ethan looked at her sometimes, like he wasn't sure if he was grateful or terrified. The days were simple. Claire taught Lily in the sunroom or the garden, reading math, science, but layered beneath every lesson was something more fragile, healing. She noticed the spark returning to Lily's voice. The drawings were coming back, hope in soft pencil lines, but behind every small breakthrough stood a shadow. Her name was Susan Blake. You braid her hair, you teach her art. What's next? Bedtime stories. Susan's voice was cool, sharp as glass. Let's not pretend you're here out of kindness. Women like you don't just stumble into lives like ours. Claire didn't answer. She didn't need to. Not when she found Lily every morning waiting at her door with a notebook and hopeful eyes. One night, Claire walked past the main house and overheard raised voices. "She's interfering, Ethan. You barely know her. She's helping Lily," Ethan shot back. "Something even I haven't been able to do." The door slammed before she could hear more. Was this a mistake? Was Susan right to suspect her? Or was this family clinging so hard to the past that they were blind to what Lily truly needed? The tension boiled over one crisp Sunday morning. Claire was walking with Lily in the garden when Susan cornered her with a manila envelope. She tossed it onto the bench beside them. "Background checks aren't hard when you know where to look," Susan said coldly. "Your parents crossed into this country illegally 10 years ago, didn't they?" Claire's blood froze. The words hit like bullets. "They're citizens now," she said quietly, standing to shield Lily. "And that has nothing to do with this." "Oh, but it has everything to do with trust." Susan sneered. "Your family hid who they were. What makes you any different?" And just like that, Claire's world began to crumble. But then Ethan appeared. "Susan, what are you doing?" Susan paled. "I was just threatening her." Ethan's voice was low. "Dangerous, you don't know who she is." "No, you don't," Ethan said, stepping between them. Then he turned to Claire. "Is it true?" She met his eyes. "Yes, my parents came here for a better life. They worked hard. They never asked for pity. Silence, not anger, not shame. Just truth." Ethan slowly nodded. "Thank you for telling me." Claire blinked, stunned. "You're not angry," I was. "At first, not because of your past, but because I was scared of what I was starting to feel." What was he feeling? What was she? And could a house still haunted by a dead wife ever welcome someone new? Later that week, Ethan invited Claire to dinner for the first time, not as an employee but as a guest. Lily helped set the table, giggling for the first time in months. A candle flickered between wine glasses. Soft music played from the old speaker Rachel once used. "She told me," Ethan said, his voice low. "You and Lily have a notebook for plants?" Claire smiled. It was her idea. We're continuing what she started with her mom. "She's smiling again," Ethan murmured. "I forgot what that looked like." Then gently he added, "So am I." But just as the moment softened, a knock at the door broke the stillness. Claire opened it and gasped. Her parents. "Mom, Dad." "What are you doing here?" Linda glanced nervously at the mansion. "We had to see it with our own eyes. The place where you live now. And the man you've been working for." The introduction was awkward. Richard Mitchell, gruff but proud, shook Ethan's hand like a man measuring a foundation. "Nice house, looks 50s. Solid bones, I've heard you used to work construction." Ethan offered 30 years. Richard nodded, from nothing to something. "Same as you, I guess." But the peace didn't last. Over coffee, Linda leaned forward. "Mr. Walker, I want to ask you something. What are your intentions with our daughter?" Silence. Claire turned red. "Mom, please." "No, she deserves an answer." Ethan said, "I admire Claire deeply. She's brought light to our home, but I also respect her career. I'm not here to interfere. I'm here to support." The words were right. Professional, dignified. But why did they hurt that night alone in her guest house? Claire stared at the ceiling. He said the right things, but was he holding back? Was he protecting her or pushing her away? We're truly sorry to interrupt the story here, but what happens next might just surprise you even more. What do you think Claire should do? Walk away before it's too late or take a chance on something real? Do you think Ethan is ready to love again, or is he still trapped in Rachel's shadow? Let us know in the comments also, where in the world are you watching from? If this story touched your heart, please give us a like and drop a heart to help others find it too. Weeks passed. Claire continued teaching Lily, though something had shifted. There was warmth in the air, yes, but also caution. Ever since her parents' visit and Ethan's careful, almost too perfect response, Claire felt the walls rising again. Professional boundaries, polite distance. Was he protecting her from gossip or from his own feelings? Then came the turning point. One rainy afternoon, Lily appeared at Claire's door with a box. Her little hands gripped it tightly, her expression unreadable. "Grandma gave me this," she said. "Said Mom wanted me to have it when I turned 9. Claire opened the lid slowly. Inside was a blue leather-bound diary. The name Rachel Walker was embossed in gold. Together, they sat and flipped to the last entry. "Dear Lily, if you're reading this, I'm no longer with you. But I want you to know, it's okay to be happy again. One day someone might come into your life, and your dad's life too. If she loves you for who you are, not what you have let her in, that's real love. Don't be afraid to start again. Love, Mom." Claire sat in a stunned silence. Her hands trembled. Had Rachel known? Had she somehow seen all this coming? But that wasn't all. Tucked between the pages were bank records, transfers, large sums moved from the Rachel Walker Foundation into private accounts. The recipient, Susan Blake. Claire's heart pounded. "Lily, I think we need to show this to your dad." But what would Ethan do with the truth? Could he face the possibility that the woman who'd raised his wife had betrayed them both? That night, Claire placed the documents on Ethan's desk. He read every line in silence. "I trusted her," he whispered. Rachel trusted her. His eyes burned, not with rage, but devastation. In the days that followed, everything unraveled. The media caught wind. Investors pulled out of the Evermere Green project. Susan fled to Santa Fe under pressure. The legacy Rachel built trembled on the edge of collapse, and Claire quietly resigned. She didn't want to burden Ethan further. She packed her things, left a letter, and walked away. Heartbroken, not because she was dismissed, but because she chose to leave before it all shattered around her. Was she running or protecting herself? Could love survive when everything else was falling apart? Ethan buried himself in damage control till one night, while sorting old project files, he stumbled upon something unexpected. A folder labeled River Point. Educational purchase inside were blueprints, transaction logs, and a handwritten note from Rachel for Claire Mitchell. The teacher from the conference, "If I don't make it, I want this to be hers." A photo fell out, Rachel smiling at a school summit, standing next to Claire years younger. That moment changed everything. Ethan knew what he had to do. He redesigned Evermere Green into a sustainable luxury and community hybrid. A new vision that included Rachel's Place, a learning center for children of all backgrounds built around Claire's educational philosophy. Then he went to find her. She was living in a modest apartment again, far from Beverly Hills, working part-time. Her light dimmed. When she opened the door and saw him standing there with Lily beside him, holding a drawing of their dream school, Claire couldn't speak. "Rachel knew you," Ethan said gently. "She chose you before I ever did." He handed her the keys to the building. "I want to do this with you," he said. "Not for you. With you." Tears blurred Claire's vision. "And what about us?" "I was afraid of losing Rachel all over again," Ethan admitted. "But now I see loving again doesn't mean forgetting. It means building something new." Together, weeks later, Rachel's Place opened its doors, a vibrant learning center in River Point filled with laughter languages and children of every background. Claire led the ribbon-cutting ceremony, while Lily introduced herself proudly as co-founder's daughter. Susan returned, quiet, older, changed. "I failed Rachel," she told Claire in front of the building. "But I won't fail you." She handed Claire a signed document, a full confession, a transfer of everything she took, no more secrets. That night, as paper lanterns floated into the sky, Ethan turned to Claire with a velvet box. Inside was not a ring. It was the original key to Rachel's Place. "She believed in this," he said, "and I believe in you." Claire took the key, but, "Is there a ring somewhere?" she teased. He smiled. "Maybe, if you say yes." Lily appeared, arms crossed. "Just ask her already." And under the garden lights, surrounded by friends, family, and the legacy of a woman who loved them all, Claire said yes. Some love stories begin with fireworks. Theirs began with a wrong message, and ended with something much stronger: faith, forgiveness, and a future built brick by brick. We're sorry to pause the story here, but before you go, we'd love to know, if someone you loved left you a message to find happiness again, would you be ready to open your heart? Do you believe Rachel was guiding them all along? Or was this just beautiful fate? Tell us what you think about the ending. If you loved it, type no. 3 in the comments. Type no 1 if you're not satisfied, and no 2 if it felt just okay. Where are you watching from today? Please like, share, and drop a heart if this story touched you. We'll see you in the next one.